prenatal stages. As we know, many factors contribute to a healthy pregnancy and then eventually a healthy delivery. I will be talking to you about your nutrition and weight gain. I will tell you how you should gain weight, how much you should eat, and importantly, what you should eat. Ted will talk to you about the teratogens of pregnancy, what to stay away from, the drugs, the alcohol, and diseases. Kevin, who will be with you in just a minute, will talk to you about the importance of the role of a father in those important 9 months. He and I will also demonstrate to you some of the preparation classes, preparation techniques you can use to get ready when that delivery day does finally come. And now here's Kevin.
Yes, we'll be talking about the importance of the father's role during the prenatal months. Men are discovering that the birth of their own children can be the most joyous and ecstatic part of their lives. A father who attends childbirth classes with his wife actively prepares for the birth and takes an active part in bringing the child into the world. He generally has an easier time afterwards in adjusting to the new status of his wife as a mother and to the presence of the new baby. Richard Gayton has compared the experience of 2 groups of fathers. One group, called the NCB fathers, had attended natural childbirth classes with their wives and stayed with their wives throughout labor and delivery. The other group, called the standard fathers, had not attended classes and retired to the waiting room, usually at the end of the first stage of labor. Gayton found that the 2 groups had very different experiences. The standard fathers were more anxious throughout the birth process until they received the news that the mother and child were both well. The NCB fathers were much more calmer and much more relaxed. The greatest cause of anxiety in the standard fathers was watching the wife in pain during labor, the appearance of the baby after the birth, and the fear that the baby would be born before they reached the hospital. In contrast, the NCB fathers were most distressed if they were separated from their wives. For example, if the doctor would ask them to leave during the medical procedures. One aspect of the father's role during labor and delivery has been linked to that of a sportsman's coach. He brings his wife drinks, wipes away sweat, massages her, monitors her contractions, and keeps track of her breathing and relaxation, and above all, gives her moral support, which is very much needed. But apart from such caretaking activity, the very presence of the father is profoundly calming and reassuring in the hospital environment, which many women find unfamiliar and hostile. Many women find that it is easier to respond to a voice that they know and love than to instructions from a stranger. Gayton also found that women whose husbands attended classes regularly and were present at the birth regarded their husbands as strong, competent men, someone whom they could lean on and depend on. Wives whose husbands followed a more traditional role saw their men as weak, someone to be worried about rather than to be leaned on. If this occurs, the woman may feel called upon to give support herself, not only to her new child, but to her husband as well. Laura and I are going to demonstrate a few type of activities that will help you get ready for childbirth.
Although these procedures aren't the exact technique, at least they'll give you a basic idea of how the preparation techniques will get you ready for your delivery.
The first type of activity is called hypnosis. It has received limited use because it requires considerable time and commitment. Hypnosis can occur when a woman conditions herself by silently repeating to herself a phrase that, with daily practice triggers physical and mental relaxation. The male can also help in this procedure by talking along with her. We want an A on this presentation. We want an A on this presentation. We want an A on this presentation. A second type of activity is called prenatal yoga. This is a helpful way to psychologically approach pregnancy through exercise and breathing techniques that can be used through the entire pregnancy. These classes focus on teaching relaxation techniques, but they seldom include the physiology of labor and delivery and other practical aspects of childbirth. During the prenatal yoga activity, my job is to help my wife through a couple exercises to help her relax. Also, I must be very careful how same time, she's breathing very silently to herself, making herself feel very comfortable and very good. While I spend time to give her moral support and talk to her in case she needs any type of encouragement. A final preparation option for childbirth is the Lamaze technique. This technique of childbirth preparation is to minimize the pain and discomfort in labor and delivery. This method teaches specific breathing techniques for dealing with painful contractions. Proper exercise and a thorough knowledge of labor and delivery process are also stressed. Essential to the Lamaze technique is the use of a coach, preferably the husband, who attends the classes and helps the mother to practice her relaxation and breathing skills. The husband accompanies her during labor and delivery, provides support, times contractions, and just basically helps her relax. Lamaze is currently the most popular method of childbirth preparation in the United States. Classes are usually 6 weeks in length and begin about the 7th month of pregnancy. During the Lamaze technique, the husband's most important job is to just relax his wife. Different type of wives like different types of relaxation. My wife enjoys having her temples rubbed to help her relax. She also enjoys having her shoulders rubbed. This relieves a little pain, makes her feel very comfortable. My wife demonstrated fast breathing. This is what happens when, for contractions during the labor, and I would breathe along very slow with her to help her relax. I can also talk to her if she needs any type of advice or needs to relax a little bit, needs to hear a familiar voice. As I have shown, it is quite evident that a male can be a very important person during the prenatal months. Not only can he be a big factor in helping the expectant mother plan a nutritious diet, like Ted and Laura will explain, but he can also create a stronger family bond by actually being a part of the pregnancy. It has
Yes, you guessed it. Here we are in the supermarket. I'm going to try to show you some of the nutritious things that you need to eat when you're pregnant. Now, when you gain weight, you're supposed to gain about 22 to 27 pounds over the 9 months. That doesn't mean you want to put it all on right at the beginning and maintain it, and it doesn't mean that you want to put it on in the middle or at the end. You want to try to gradually increase your weight so that the baby can stay inside your body. Now, the way to gain weight is not to eat like 3 big meals a day. You want to eat like 6 smaller meals so that it's not a big load. And you want to make sure you eat something in between dinner and then lunch, or dinner and breakfast in the morning. So eat something right before you go to bed. Now, gaining weight doesn't mean that you want to eat all this chocolate stuff or only desserts. You want to gain weight by eating nutritious things that are going to be good for the baby. And now I'm going to try to show you some of these nutritious foods. First, we're going to start in the produce section. Leafy green vegetables have the B6 vitamin that you're going to need to eat a lot of. This would include things like broccoli, lettuce, and cabbage. Fresh fruits are also good for pregnant women. Look at all the vegetables you can eat.
It says battery.
Nuts also have the B6 vitamin that you're going to want to eat a lot of when you're pregnant. When you're pregnant, you also need a lot of calcium. As you know, milk is a prime source of calcium, so it's very important. You actually want to drink like a quart a day or more. But if milk's not your favorite food, then you can make milkshakes. Besides milk, you're going to want to drink a lot of like fruit juices and also water. Like I was saying, make sure any kind of milk that you want to drink, if you want to drink the low-fat milk, if you want to drink regular milk, or if you want to drink skim milk, that's all right as long as you're getting enough of it. Now we're going to go down this aisle. Remember also that nuts are in peanut butter, so you can eat a lot of peanut butter too to help you gain weight. And I'm sorry, people are making fun of it. And also to get the B6 vitamin. Moving right along. Pickles may become a strong part of your diet since a lot of people say that they crave pickles. This is not always true, but you might find yourself wanting more pickles than usual. Whole grain cereals, such as All Bran or Oat Bran, these are good cereals because they contain the folic acid that's very important in a pregnancy also.
You're not allowed to take pictures in the store. Shut it off.
Unfortunately, we were kicked out of Weis because the lady said it's supposedly against the law to take any sort of pictures in the supermarket. So I'm sorry, but we're going to have to finish up my presentation here in the lounge. Not quite suitable, but I guess it'll work. As I started to say, in the supermarket, whole grain is very important in a diet, and I started off showing you some cereals that might be good for you to eat. Along with cereal, you want to eat a lot of bread and muffins also, and you need 3 to 4 servings of this a day. High protein is also on the list of definitely nutritious things that you need to eat during the 9 months of pregnancy. Fish, poultry, eggs, cheese, and vegetables are on this list of what you can eat, and you need to have 4 servings of high protein food a day. It's very important to get enough protein because when you're pregnant, strangely enough, body enzymes inside of you fight the protein as a bad germ inside you. So it's harder for your body and your baby to absorb the protein. So it's important to get as much protein as you can. Iron, again, is another very important vitamin to eat. And liver contains the highest amount of iron that you can get. It also contains the B6 vitamin. So it's very important to eat a lot of liver if you like it. If not, however, there are some alternatives. Dried prunes are a good example. Raisins and also prunes are full of iron. And you need to make sure to get enough iron too, because even when you're not pregnant, women often find it hard to get enough iron in their system. Sometimes you can take iron supplements, but you want to make sure that any drug you take while you're pregnant is approved by your doctor. When I said that calcium was a strong part of your diet when you're pregnant, I meant that. And you need to drink at least 1 quart of milk a day. But if milk's not your favorite thing either, like you don't want to have liver and milk for dinner, you can have ice cream for dessert. You can have yogurt, cheese, cottage cheese, anything along this line. Milkshakes, like I said before, are an excellent source because you can drink 1 milkshake a day and not get filled up and get enough protein. Just mix a raw egg in with it and everything will be all right. Remember, 22 to 27 pounds are how much weight you want to gain over the course of the 9 months, and you don't want to eat just 3 meals a day. It's better to eat 6 or 7 small meals. And like I said before earlier, it's very, very important to eat a meal right before you go to bed, because you don't want to go 12 hours from dinner to breakfast without having something in there to eat. Also, I've given you a long list of food so that when you're pregnant, you don't have to stick to the same diet every day. I mean, you're not going to have to eat liver, milk, and green vegetables all the time. You'll have.
Hello, my name's Ted. My discussion today will be on teratogens. Teratogens are environmental factors which negatively affect the fetus. They cause many malformations and many complications of birth. The 3 topics I'll be talking on: diseases, drugs, and radiation. Now, to start off, in the disease category, I'll be talking about rubella. Rubella is a rather severe disease. In the first month of the pregnancy, there's a 50% chance that it can cause a defect. In the second month, there's a 22% chance that it can cause a defect. And in the 3rd to 5th months, there is a 6 to 10% chance of defects. So one with rubella should really consult a doctor and make sure they possibly can take means to preventing that fetus from being affected by this. Now, rubella can cause death, heart disease, malformations of the heart, the eyes, and many other things. For instance, retardation in general. Gertrude, I'd like to introduce you to an old friend of mine, Gertrude. Gertrude, how are you? Looks like you're going to have a baby.
Ted, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I'm just giving a little lecture here on teratogens.
Good.
Do you know what teratogens are?
I'm not exactly sure, Dr. Ted.
Well, teratogens, Gertrude.
What are you doing, Dr. Ted?
Well, this is a teratogen, actually.
Well, I've been smoking my whole life, Dr. Ted.
Oh, well, see, that's very bad for your baby here, because within the first few months, it can cause many problems with your baby, and I'm sure you want to help the baby, don't you?
Yes, I do, Dr. Ted.
I'm sure you would see it my way. Well, Gertrude, I suggest that you take this and you go throw that in the garbage can.
Thank you for the advice, Dr.
Well,
Ted.
yeah, you want to keep this thing healthy,
Yes, I do.
and you want to make sure. Hey, let me leave you with a little word of advice. The babies cannot survive in smoke-filled wombs.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ted.
My pleasure, Gertrude. And take care of that little bambino for me. Okay. Now, class, back to what I was talking about, diseases and teratogens. The next disease I'll talk about, mumps. Mumps are something like chicken pox or something, they cause, I guess they cause mumps. In the first month of pregnancy, well, the first month to 3 months, it can cause many birth defects, although not as great as rubella. Mumps are not as severe disease. They can cause, however, death and malformations of the fetus, so one must be careful if they contract mumps while they are pregnant. They shouldn't see a doctor. Also, some other things: polio, influenza, and hepatitis are also other disease teratogens that can affect the fetus. And Gertrude, how are you?
Good, Dr. Ted. How are you again?
Good. Well, I just sent you on. You came right back, huh?
Yes, I did, Dr. Ted. Yes, I did.
What are you doing?
I'm getting ready to open a beer, Dr. Ted.
A beer? You can't have a beer in here.
One beer
This
is
is
all.
from my class. Besides, alcohol is very bad for a developing fetus. And that's what you have in there.
Yes, I do.
Yes, and I think you want to keep that little baby safe in there, don't you?
Yes, I do, Dr. Ted.
Did you ever hear of fetal alcohol syndrome?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, it's sort of a defect which happens because a mother like yourself drinks, while her baby is developing the various organs and brain and things. Okay, so it's imperative that you don't drink, while you are pregnant with your baby. If you have fetal alcohol syndrome in your baby, it can cause malformations in the face, limited growth, mental retardation. I think you get the picture, don't you?
Yes, I do, Dr. Ted.
Yeah, and you want to keep your baby healthy, so I suggest you don't.
Well,
You
thank you
don't
for
drink
the
any more
advice.
alcohol.
Thank you for the advice, Dr. Ted.
Oh, you're welcome, Gertrude.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
I will. You
Okay,
too,
maybe I'll
Dr.
see you
Ted.
again sometime soon.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, class, now back to our little discussion here on teratogens. Now, whatever rubella and mumps, I mentioned a few other polio, influenza, and hepatitis. Now we'll go on to radiation and the effects of radiation on the fetus. Okay, X-rays, one of the main forms of radiation which a expectant mother will encounter. X-rays in early months of the fetus can cause central nervous damage, mental retardation, and also can increase the risk of cancer in the baby. So I suggest that if you fall down and hurt yourself and you have to go to the hospital for X-rays or anything of the sort, that what you do is you let the doctor know, and maybe he can cover you with a lead blanket or a lead encasement of some sort, or he can just maybe do a different procedure so that you don't have to be exposed to those dangerous, harmful rays. Gertrude, again.
Yes, Dr. Ted, how are you?
Well, you're just getting to be a familiar face around here now, aren't you?
Well, Dr. Ted, I wanted you to be proud of me this time. I was going to drink a cup of coffee because I figured that was good for me.
Well, coffee is much better for you than alcohol, but coffee does contain caffeine, dear, and caffeine is also bad for your developing baby.
Caffeine is?
Yeah, caffeine is.
I didn't know that, Dr. Ted.
Yeah, and one should watch when you are expecting your baby not to consume too much caffeine. Now, I'm sure 1 cup of coffee, maybe 2 cups, but not more than that, Gertrude. Because if you have more than that, you can really hamper the growth of your developing fetus.
Well, thank you for that advice, Dr.
Okay.
Ted. I didn't know that.
Okay, well, hey, we just want to keep this nice and healthy. Okay, take care, dear.
All right, Dr. Ted.
That's a nice bandana you have there. Okay, class. Gertrude, what a character. Okay, now I will go on with radiation. Okay, not only X-rays, but there are other kinds of radiation. Studies have been done on the birth of the babies from the Nagasaki and Hiroshima explosions of the atomic bomb, and the radiation that came from these bombs, really affected these babies in a great way. They caused leukemia in some babies, retardation, and other things of the sort. Now, so one should be careful when in the area of radiation. Say even just passing in a hospital, maybe you should just stay clear of that area. Gertrude, you just love me today, now don't you?
Well, you know, Dr. Ted, with all these things I can't do, I tell you, I'm really starting just to get a headache. And I think
Getting a headache, huh?
I think I'm just going to take some aspirin to make myself feel better because...
Oh, Gertrude. Well, aspirin I'm sure might make you feel good, but you got to think if it's going to make this little baby feel good.
I didn't think of that, Dr. Ted.
Yeah, well, I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 aspirin aren't too bad at first, but if you take too many, it could bother the baby. What I suggest is that you go to your doctor and ask your doctor for advice on different medications you can take for the various discomforts that you do have because of the pregnancy or just finding out this heavy information. Okay?
Okay, Dr. Ted.
So why don't you go and, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you just wait around here, stay right here with me, and then we can go out to have lunch or something, and you can ask me, your doctor.
Well, that sounds great,
Any other
Dr.
questions?
Ted. That
Okay.
sounds great.
Okay, Gertrude,
Okay.
just stand here and I'll just address the class and we'll go out for something to eat.
Okay, Dr.
Okay.
Ted.
Okay, class, I'd like to sum up today what we talked about, teratogens. Okay, as we know, they are environmental factors which affect the fetus in various ways. Okay, we went over diseases, drugs, and radiation. When one has is expecting a baby, you should definitely consult a physician, find out the various do's and don'ts of pregnancy. I just wish all you expectant mothers good luck with your babies.
Let's go.
We would like to take this time now to sum up our presentation. Earlier you heard Kevin talk about the father and his importance in the prenatal process.
Laura and then proceeded to talk about the healthy part of the prenatal stage, the right kinds of food that expectant mothers should eat so that the baby will be born healthy. And then Ted talked about the pterogens that could cause abnormalities and the baby come out with all kinds of defects.
We hope that this presentation has given you just a brief introduction to prenatal care.
Mothers, be careful.